This new wearable tech is closing the gap between humans and cyborgs. A professor at the University of Chicago believes he is on his way to creating a wearable for market that will manipulate your muscles with electrical muscles to cause you to move involuntarily so you can perform a physical task you otherwise didn't know how you do, like playing a musical instrument or operating machinery. Dr. Pedro Lopes, who leads the Human Computer Integration Lab at the university, is all about integrating humans and computers, closing the gap between humans and machine. His team, which focuses on engineering the next generation of wearable and haptic devices, is exploring the endless possibilities if wearables could intentionally shape parts of our body for input and output, allowing computers to be more directly interwoven in our bodily senses and actuators. Lipos Vision, a wearable EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to send electrical impulses in the right timing and in the right fashion to make users' muscles move involuntarily to perform a physical task. EMS stands for electrical muscle stimulation. Think training people to operate tools they are not familiar with, he said, or speeding up a user's reaction time to train someone to have better reflexes. According to Dr. Lopez, by speeding up a user's muscle stimulation, they could, for instance, have superhuman reflex and be so fast that they would take a picture of flying baseball. According to Dr. Lopez, by speeding up a user's muscle stimulation, they could, for instance, have superhuman reflexes and be so fast that they could take a picture of a flying baseball. The technology can also teach people to play musical instruments, use tools, and operate machinery, for example, and operate machines, for example.
This new wearable tech is closing the gap between humans and cyborgs. A professor at the University of Chicago believes he is on his way to creating a wearable foreign market that will manipulate your muscles with electrical impulses to cause you to move involuntarily so you can perform a physical task you otherwise didn't know how to do, like playing a musical instrument or operating machinery. Dr. Pedro Lopez, who heads the Human Computer Integration Lab at the university, is all about integrating humans and computers, closing the gap between human and machine. His team, which focuses on engineering the next generation of wearable and haptic devices, is exploring the endless possibilities of wearables could intentionally share parts of our body for input and output, allowing computers to be more directly interwoven in our bodily senses and actuators. Lopez's vision, a wearable EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to send electrical impulses in the right timing and in the right fashion to make a user's muscles move involuntarily to perform a physical task. EMS stands for electrical muscle stimulation. Think training people to operate tools they are not familiar with, he said, or speeding up a user's reaction time to train someone to have better reflexes. According to Dr. Lopez, by speeding up a user's muscle stimulation, they could, for instance, have superhuman reflexes and be so fast that they could take a picture of a flying baseball. The technology could also teach people to play musical instruments, use tools, and operate machinery, for example.
The word manipulate in the first paragraph can be best replaced by control, influence, improve. 改进，控制。What is Pedro Lopez's goal? Make EMS send electrical muscles all the time. There will be less difference between human and machine. Play a musical instrument or operate. According to the professor, the device will be not used for improving users' reflexes, teaching people to play an instrument, training people to take a picture of flying objects. This new wearable tech is closing the gap between humans and cyborgs. Cyborg 半机械人 cybernetic organism 合成 cybernetic organism 合成 cybernetic 简化的前缀 of relating to or involving computers or computer networks such as the internet. 拓展 cyberpunk, cybercrime. A professor at the University of Chicago believes she is on his way to creating a wearable for market that will manipulate your muscles with electrical impulses to cause you to move involuntarily so you can perform a physical task you otherwise didn't know how to do, like playing a musical instrument or operating machinery. A professor at the University of Chicago believes he is on the way to creating a wearable. Manipulate 操纵 handle or control skillfully. Manual hand 手动 POW 作为词根与 for 同源，因为 PF 转一。Manipulate 字面意思用手抓，汉语把握。The baby is learning to manipulate blocks. The mechanical arms are manipulated by a computer. The mechanical arms are manipulated by a computer. Impulse 冲动脉冲 aim into pulse pull drive 冲入 pulse 脉搏 impulsive 冲动的受情感驱使的 impulse is devil impulse is devil involuntary自然而然的不加思索的 involuntary not voluntary 自愿的自发的volunteer not 自然而然的不假思索的和 will 同源 w v 同音，其实 w 和 u 都是从谓音细化分出的。Breathing and circulation are involuntary process. Otherwise, under different circumstances, be on one's way, perform a task. Be on task. Otherwise, under different circumstances, be on one's way, perform a task. Be on one's way, perform a task. Involuntary, volunteers. Breathing and circulation are involuntary processes. Otherwise, 在另外一种情况下 under a different circumstance, be on one's way, perform a task. Be on one's way. A professor at the University of Chicago believes he is on his way to creating a variable for market that will manipulate your muscles with electrical impulses to cause you to move involuntarily so you can perform a physical task you otherwise didn't know how to do. Like playing a musical instrument or operating machinery. 宾语从句，从句部分主干是 he creates a variable， 后面 for market 是目的状语，在后面是定语从句说明 variable 的功能。with 短语引出方式，后面 to do 表示结果，让你的肌肉动起来。然后 so 再引导一个结果状语从句，但是这个状语从句中又包含了一个省略了先行词 that 的定语从句，先行词指示的 task 在从句中 do 做最后 do 的宾语。Otherwise, involuntary, impulse, impulse 脉冲冲动 manipulate 操纵把握 blocks impulse aim into impulse is devil. Otherwise, a professor at the University of Chicago believes he is on his way to creating a variable for market that will manipulate your muscles with electrical impulses to cause you to move involuntarily so you can perform a physical task you otherwise didn't know how to do, like playing a muscle instrument or operating machinery. Dr. Pedro Lopez, who has the Human Computer Integration Lab at the university, is all about integrating humans and computers, closing the gap between human and machine. Integrate 集成 to unit in not tag act 合成为 integrated circuits circuits, integrated circuits, integrated writing, 集成 integrated. Dr. Pedro Lopez, who has the Human Computer Integration Lab at the university, is all about integrating humans and computers, closing the gap between human and machine. His team, which focuses on engineering the next generation of wearable and haptic devices. Haptic devices is exploring the endless possibilities if wearables could integrationally shape parts of our body for input and output, allowing computers to be more directly interwoven in our bodily senses and actuators. Focus on 集中 pay attention to, concentrate on, focus on. Haptic 接触的、触觉的，从希腊语 haptics 引入，是 tactile 对应的近义词 tactile。contact intact 对应微缩 visual tactile contact intact haptic interwave interwave 交织 wave together 意为 mix or blend interwave fiber interwave plot interwave music actuator 执行器 actuate make device operate. His team, which focuses on engineering the next generation of wearable and haptic devices, exploring the endless possibility if wearables could intentionally shape parts of our body for input and output, allowing computers to become more directly interwoven in our body's senses and actuators. 这两句的难点都是插入语部分，比较常见的主谓之间的位置功能都在解释说明。后一句要注意的是 if 作为是否讲引导的从句是 possibility 的同位语从句，解释说明怎样的 possibility。后面的 allow 的主语是 variables。His team, which focuses on engineering the next generation of wearable and haptic devices, is exploring exploring the endless possibilities if wearables could intentionally share parts of our body for input and output, allowing computers to be more directly interwoven in our bodily senses and actuators. Lopez vision. A wearable EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to send electrical impulses in the right timing and in the right fashion to make users' muscles move involuntarily to form a physical task. EM stands for electrical muscle stimulation. Stand for 意味着 represent means stimulate 刺激 stimulate stimulus stimulate stand for represent 意味着 a wearable EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to send electrical impulses in the right timing and in the right fashion to make users' muscles move voluntarily to perform a physical task. EMS stands for electrical muscle stimulation 刺激 Think training people to operate tools they are not familiar with, he said, or speeding up a user's reaction time to training someone to have better reflexes. Reflex 反射动作 an action or a movement of your body that happens naturally in response to something and that you cannot control, something that you do without thinking. Think training people to operate tools they are not familiar with, he said, or speeding up users' reaction time to train someone to have better reflexes. 这句话乍一看仿佛祈使句，其实是主句后面的 he said。所谓祈使句是 said 后边的宾语从句，是 he 让读者去思考，而 all 并列的是 think 后面的 training， 而 all 并列的是 think 后面的 training， 而 all 并列的是 think 后边的 training。According to Dr. Lopez, by speeding up a user's muscle stimulation, they could, for instance, have superhuman reflexes and be so fast that they could take a picture of a flying baseball. 句子的主干是 they could have superman reflexes and be so fast. 句子开头 according to 和 by speeding up 都是状语前置，而主谓之间又插入了 for instance. The technology can also teach people to play musical instruments, use tools, and operate machinery. For example, machinery 机器的集合名词 machines seen as a group, especially large ones. Machine 名词 machinery His team is exploring the endless possibility. His team is exploring the endless possibility. They could have superhuman reflexes and be so fast that they could take a picture of flying baseball. EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to make a user's muscle move involuntarily. Endless could take. His team is
exploring the endless possibilities.
His team is exploiting the endless possibilities.
They could have superhuman reflexes and be so fast that they could take a picture of a flying baseball.
They could have superhuman reflexes and be so fast that they could take a picture of a flying baseball.
EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to make a user's muscles move involuntarily.
EMS device that would look like a sleeve and be able to make a user's muscles move involuntarily.